Today we are going to tell you the success story of Mexican international civil servant, Miss Gabriela Ramos. And I have the privilege to receive you today, Gabriela. Many thanks for coming. I would like to start by briefly talking about your background. So first you hold a master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School. Mm-hmm. Your hero's journey, Gabriela, started with the Mexican government as Director of Economic Analysis in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from 1995 to 1998. And then it looks like you found your way when you joined the OECD Mexican office as director in 1999. From there, you held various positions at OECD, Deputy Chief of Staff, and Sherpa to G20, where you coordinated the contributions of the organization to the G20, right? You were in charge of the targeted policy advice to member and partner countries. You launched and oversaw the Best Policy Series publication and the New Approaches to Economic Challenges, promoting the Inclusive Growth Initiative. Finally, you were appointed in 2020 as Assistant Director General for Social and Human Sciences by the Director General of UNESCO, Miss Aurée Azoulay, a pinnacle. Let us not forget that as a female leader, you also demonstrated an entrepreneurial capacity by becoming a founding partner of Portico, a public policy consultancy between 1998 and 2000. So, to prepare a conversation today, I asked 3 pictures. One of you when you were a child, one representing a success or accomplishment, and one representing something you disapprove. You sent to us 3 pictures, lovely pictures, of yourself as a child. And we can see them now on the screen. So, looking at these pictures, Gabriela, can you tell us what about the kind of little girl you were? Why did you choose these 3 pictures? What do they represent for you?
Well, thanks. First and foremost, big thanks for this invitation, Aurée. It's a fantastic way to start a conversation. Why did I choose these 3 pictures? Well, I'm a very busy person. They are the ones that I found, but they told me that you wanted to have us as child. And there I am with my family. Mm-hmm. There I am when I was a very little baby. And there I am with the pictures that you give to the school. And I feel what this tells you is that I had a family that was very caring. Mm-hmm. My sister is no longer with me, but we were very close. My brother is a businessman, but also we belong to a family that was not rich, mm-hmm. But were very intellectual. My grandma was the first director of a school in a very small town in Mexico. My dad was an engineer. My mom was a marathon runner. So I belong to a family that was always very caring and very supportive. Mm-hmm. No difference between boys and girls. Mm-hmm. Thinking that their children were going to accomplish great things with positive impact for people. So I guess that's why I got them there.
Brilliant. And I see that you have included your sister and brother. This is very, very lovely. Okay, thank you very much, Gabriela, for sharing this with us today. I have also asked a picture, like I said before, representing, a success for you. And you said this picture of you with the UN flag. Could you tell us, more about this picture? Perhaps the date, the context, why choosing this one? And perhaps more important above all, what are your personal drivers? Because I believe that, some people listening or watching this conversation would love to understand, what is driving you.
Well, I feel that, yes, you're completely right. Having the UN flag in the back sends a message that I believe that we have the power in our hands to bring countries together. The UN system, and particularly UNESCO, because UNESCO is a specialized agency in the UN system that is in charge of peace. That's what we are called to forge through culture, through science, through education. And therefore, it was very interesting because when I joined the Foreign Service, and even before joining the Foreign Service, I remember visiting the UN in New York. I was very young. And my mom and I were in New York because she was running the marathon. And I said, okay, you go run on your marathon. I'm going to go to the Security Council. And I remember getting there. It was just amazing. It was a dream because when you get into seeing the good things that happen when countries get together to deliver for climate change, for nuclear weapons, for social issues, the SDGs, and therefore, when I was appointed, the OECD was an amazing place, but then when I entered in the UN system, I was so proud, and you can see it. I'm super happy. That's a picture that was taken when I joined UNESCO 4 years ago. So I look very proud, and
yeah,
I was.
And you're right, and effectively, given the, I would say nowadays, you know, the context, geopolitical context, very sensitive. Peace is so important to recall.
And understanding and really being much more open-minded. We live in very polarized societies. We need to find a way again to talk to each other.
That's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
At UNESCO, Gabriela, you play a pivotal role. First, your mandate includes tackling economic inequalities, promoting social inclusion, and gender equality. You also oversee the youth support agenda and the promotion of values through sports. Can you give us perhaps a concrete example of, you know, your work in these areas, you know, potential success or challenges, and how it translates into, you know, your daily life at UNESCO?
Well, let me tell you that UNESCO is just a continuation of a lifetime of commitments with social justice. And therefore you can do it through promoting equality among genders or ensuring that those that are at the bottom of the income distribution receive more opportunities. And therefore I can tell you something that makes me very proud. I work since 2011 launching the gender strategy at the OECD. Then when I moved into UNESCO, of course, gender is a priority, and the recommendation on the ethics of artificial intelligence that I negotiated with 193 member states includes a gender chapter, which makes me very proud. But we are at a time when the very first time Mexico elected a female president. And then I was like, well, that's fantastic because it means that my country has changed a lot. How it has changed and who has contributed to that change? And I read one of the articles that was recounting how Mexico has started to build the systems, the infrastructure, the laws to ensure gender equality, a quota in Congress to ensure equal parity, and therefore how much you have the pipeline of women politicians that can become a president. And I have been doing that. I was the one that was working with the senators to push for the quota in Congress. I was the one working with the Institute of Women in Mujeres to create the legal framework for gender equality. And then we also created a lot of infrastructure for women that are aggressed. And therefore, I felt very proud.
Well done. Congratulations.
But the point is not to say, it's me. No, I mean, Madame Claudia Sheinbaum has nothing. It's not because we did that, but because there were so many people contributing. And I felt that bringing the best practices of international institutions to member states that want to make good change is a magical combination. We made it, for example, when we promoted a competition reform in the telecom sector in Mexico that brought 70% reduction in prices. We made it again when we negotiated this recommendation on ethics of artificial intelligence, when you see how much, for example, Chile used our recommendation to change their laws and protect their citizens. I work in my consultancy pushing for the National Institute of Electoral Processes for Mexicans abroad to be able to vote. I was voting in Paris. I said, okay, I also deliver for myself. So when I see these things happening, you never know exactly what was your contribution. You cannot claim that it was all you, because it was not. But for sure you contributed. And the beauty is that then you see people that have benefited or will benefit or are benefiting from it. They will never know that it was UNESCO or it was Gabriela Ramos. They will never know, I'm sure. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because you have a women president. I don't care. I'm not going to go out and say, hey, yes, I was in the quota or in the Congress. My friends know it. But at the end, I think that this is what drives me to see that the kind of work that you can do in these institutions deliver for people. We rescue one Afghan lady that was our sports and gender equality in Afghanistan. That is one, I'm so grateful to have this possibility of touching the life of people in a way that is just amazing. And that drives me, because I feel that if we had more people that commit themselves to support other people, to contribute to, as I said, to on a world that is fairer, we will be all much better.
Thank you for sharing this. Thank you very much, Gabriela. For those who would not know, you also launched the Global Forum Against Racism to catalyze the political support that member countries have given to this cause. On gender, you advanced several initiatives, particularly to fight gender stereotypes. You lead the Management of Social Transformations, MOST program, to help UNESCO member states strengthen the connection between research and policy and between knowledge and action. You have overseen the publication of Inclusive and Resilient Societies, Equality, Sustainability and Efficiency. So, do you have a success story about this forum and its impact to share with us?
As I said, I think that everything is little by little, but at some point then you see results that are very concrete. At the OECD, I was already working to look at how inequalities of income and opportunities are just mounting. We have an economic system that is really producing very, very skewed outcomes. Very high concentration at the top and deprivation at the bottom, and families squeezed middle classes. When I moved to UNESCO and they tell me you are in charge of racism and discrimination, I start looking at that. All the people that I was calling the low-income people have color, black, coming from different countries, running away from violence, migrants. And therefore, you renewed your commitment to say, is not fair because you have a certain color of your skin that you are not giving the same opportunities.
Absolutely.
And UNESCO was born exactly, we were the very first institution that proved that it was scientifically wrong to try to say that races are different. Fast forward, the beauty also of these institutions is that you have champions that are amazing. And therefore, for example, the work that I have done with Kailash Satyarthi, who is this Nobel Prize that is saving kids from slavery, providing him with evidence to push his agenda in India, or when having the special representative of President Biden coming to my forum and saying, this is a place where I want to launch the North American Partnership for Racial Equity, so we treat better the migrants. So you have all these examples. Or when I was at the G20 and we agreed on a gender target to reduce the gap on labor force participation. And you should have seen it, because many Sherpas were telling me, gender issues for leaders? No, get serious. We're talking about financial markets. We're talking about, but we made it, thanks to other partners that were around and that helped us push the thing. So there are many stories in which we are having successes. But there are more efforts that need to be done. And I'm very happy to share with you that we just have this Managing of Social Transformation meeting, and members ask us to try to change the current economic paradigm. that is focusing so much GDP growth, material well-being, and that is not delivering for social justice and is not delivering for the environment. And therefore, UNESCO was born to do that, to use science and move away from dogma. And it seems that we are now in this race to the delivering economically and growing, and then the planet has its limits, and our social fabric is also suffering. So we need to find a way for better distribution of the benefits of growth, and also for better integration of the impact on the environment in our economies. And I'm so glad that they are asking us to do that through science. So hopefully we will bring a good narrative, new narrative for economic progress.
Looks like UNESCO has been slightly redesigned or repositioning itself, and is now playing a very key role on several aspects. A few minutes ago, you were talking about, artificial intelligence, and you gave an example about Chile, right? This is something I would like to talk about briefly. As you are actively involved in ethics of science, including, I think, neurotechnology, correct me if I'm wrong, and the internet, you have overseen the development and adoption of the first global instrument to promote the ethics of artificial intelligence, adopted in 2021 by UNESCO's General Conference, right? For people who are watching our conversation, let me just remind that artificial intelligence works by imitating human thought processes. It uses algorithms and models to analyze big data and extract information based on the query it has been given. So machine learning, a subdiscipline of AI, enables machines to learn from data without being explicitly programmed. And today, AI has already become an integral part of our daily personal and professional lives. So data sovereignty is a critical issue in the age of artificial intelligence, mainly where public tools like ChatGPT are concerned. By using AI services hosted outside their infrastructure, companies risk losing control over their data, which may be subject to the laws of foreign jurisdictions, or potentially accessible by third parties. This lack of control can raise compliance and security issues and have implications for intellectual property rights. So can you tell us more about the role and impact that UNESCO has in artificial intelligence ethics?
Well, yes, as you have said, the artificial intelligence is everywhere. We are always connected to our mobile phone. We're always looking for services there. You leave a footprint when you enter any platform in the internet, and this is being harvested by the big tech that are developing these new technological products, as you said, as ChatGPT, that has increased massively their capacities. But up to now, this has been a technological conversation. The algorithms, the data, the biases, how much these technologies are highly concentrated. 2 countries are producing 80%, the US and China. Few firms, very big firms with a lot of economic and political power. The lack of regulations, because these things are new and therefore very innovative, and therefore there is no common regulation. So what UNESCO did with this recommendation was to change the conversation, because it's not about the technologies, it's about whether the technologies are helping us to build more equal or unequal societies, whether we are capable of framing them in a way that will enhance human rights, human dignity, sustainability, fairness, whether they are accountable or not. So it's not about the technologies. I feel many times we go into, but the algorithms, the black box, you don't know how these function. Well, I'm sorry, but this is another sector. I'm a policy person, and you have tools to try to change the incentives. The development of these technologies have been based on geopolitical competition and profit making. when we need to change it. The investments really need to be to develop these tools or these technologies to manage better the food systems, to improve the health analysis, to help kids that need to learn in different settings. And therefore, this recommendation is exactly what it's doing. It's saying the technologies need to serve us instead of creating more problems. But we didn't left it there. We translate the principles which were human rights based to the accountability issues, rule of law, to policies. Policies on education, on culture, on gender, on environment. And then we produce a tool to analyze where countries are in their capacities to steer the development of these technologies, countries, public sector, but also private and civil society, academics. And we are doing now 50 diagnostics. Some countries, as I said, like Chile, are using this diagnostic to build the infrastructure. The European Union, we're working with the European Union. That is one of the most advanced economies of the world. With the AI acts that they just approved, they are thinking, what kind of institution do we need to govern, because it's a question of governance of the technologies.
Yes.
And we're working with them to define it, because we don't even have that. Is it the Ministry of Digital? Some countries don't have. Is it the telecom regulator? Whatever the format, because this is for countries to decide the format that they want to have, we need to have the tools to frame these technologies right. And if there is harm, if your children get sick because of the things they see, or if women are harassed, or if there are deep fakes and you get manipulated for whatever reason, there should be responsibilities allocated, and then there should be the rule of law. This is the litmus test that we have. Next week I'm going to Kenya, and I'm very happy because we're going to be gathering together 10 African countries that are doing the readiness assessment with us. And then we will define very specific recommendations on how to invest and how not to be left behind and how to use these technologies for good. So this is the whole point. We are the ones, we humans, that develop the technologies. We are the ones that need to frame them in a much more solid manner. Because if not, what we will have is that we will just be reproducing the inequalities and the discrimination and the things that we have in the real life, but massively, because generative AI is just too fast, too big, too powerful to be just left alone to the markets to decide whether they want to protect or not our fundamental freedoms. So that's quite a battle. But I have to say that with ChatGPT, with generative AI, with the impressive capacities that they have, leaders are now worried. So they're moving closer to where UNESCO, when we adopted this recommendation and we said ethics, people were saying like, ethics? Why do you need ethics? We're talking about technology, we're talking about competition, we're talking about the drivers of success. Now everybody's coming to us to say, what do you have? How did you say that we can frame this? Do you have a gender chapter? Because it seems that women are not well represented in the data, and therefore they are discriminated. It seems that the Black people are neither in the data. It seems that the developments are done by male-only teams. So there are many things that we need to correct, recognizing that these are super powerful and super interesting tools to improve the state of the world. But they will not do it alone. They will do it if we provide the legal and the institutional setting to steer them in the right direction. And that's what we're trying to do.
Thank you very much, Gabriela. Very, very instructive. Thank you for sharing all these relevant examples and your experience. We have reached the end of our conversation. And let me again reiterate how grateful I am for having seen you today again.
No, well, thanks for giving me this fantastic time, and it's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.